All right, let's jump right in. In this explainer, we're going to demystify one of India's most critical laws for protecting children, the POCSO Act of 2012.
So, here's how we're going to tackle this. We'll walk through the law in 5 clear parts. First, we'll cover the why and what of the act. Then we'll get into the specific types of offenses, how to report them, the special protections built in for kids, and finally, where we all fit into the picture of getting justice.
Okay, so first things first, let's really get to the heart of this law. Why was it even created? What was the ultimate goal? And most importantly, who exactly is it designed to protect? The very soul of the PSO Act is captured right here in this quote from its preamble. And let me tell you, this is not just a bunch of legal jargon. It's the guiding star for the entire law. What it means is simple. Every single decision, every procedure, every action, everything has to put the child's best interests first. Period. It's the absolute, non-negotiable foundation. So who exactly does this law protect? Well, the definition couldn't be simpler or more direct. Under POCSO, a child is anyone, absolutely anyone, below the age of 18. No ifs, ands, or buts. No gray areas. It's a crystal clear, protective line drawn right at that 18th birthday. And that's exactly why they call this a special law. See, it's not just some minor tweak to the old criminal codes. Nope, this is a whole new framework, built from the ground up with kids in mind. It really has 2 big jobs. First, to clearly define and punish horrible crimes like sexual assault, harassment, and pornography. And second, and this is so important, to create a justice system that's actually child-friendly, one that doesn't cause even more trauma for the victim. All right, now that we've got that foundation down, let's get into the specifics. What actual behaviors are considered crimes under this act? Because let me tell you, the law is very precise about this. So the law makes a really critical distinction between different types of physical assault. On one hand, you have penetrative sexual assault under Section 3, which is pretty self-explanatory and is the most severe offense. On the other hand, there's sexual assault under Section 7, which involves sexual touching without any penetration. Now, why is this separation so important? Well, it's vital because it lets the justice system match the punishment to the severity of the crime. And this table really lays out the consequences in black and white. You can see the different offenses and, crucially, the minimum punishments. That's the starting point. So for penetrative sexual assault, the most severe crime, we're talking a minimum of 10 years in prison. For sexual assault, it starts at 3 years. This isn't about being lenient. It's about setting a very high, very serious baseline to deter these awful crimes from ever happening. And what's so crucial to understand is that the Act's protection goes way beyond just physical contact. Section 11 defines sexual harassment, and this covers a whole range of damaging behaviors. Things like making sexual remarks, showing a child pornography, or even stalking. This is just so incredibly important because it officially recognizes that harm isn't just physical. It can be psychological, it can be emotional, and that's just as real. All right, so knowing what counts as an offense is one thing, but that knowledge is pretty useless if you don't know what to do next, right? So this next part is super practical. We're going to break down the crucial process of how you actually report a crime under the PSO Act. The great thing is, the law doesn't leave reporting up to guesswork. Section 19 lays out a very clear step-by-step procedure. First, you inform either the Special Juvenile Police Unit or your local police. Then, and this is for accountability, the report is written down, it's read back to you, and it's officially logged. But here's the most critical part. If a child needs immediate care and protection, the law demands they be moved to a safe place within just 24 hours. And this right here is a real game changer. It gets to the core philosophy of the law. Under Section 21, failing to report a suspected POCSO offense is a crime for adults. Let that sink in. If you know or suspect something and you don't report it, you could be punished. This basically means protecting children isn't an option. It's a mandatory legal duty. It changes all of us from just bystanders into legally required protectors. Okay, now we get to what is, in my opinion, the most groundbreaking and compassionate part of the entire PSO Act. And that's its laser focus on protecting the child victim through what can be a really scary and intimidating justice process. So we hear this term child-friendly, but what does that actually mean in the real world?
How does the law create a system that truly puts a child's safety and comfort first and, avoids making a terrible situation even worse?
Well, just look at this list. Every single step is designed to minimize the child's trauma. Their statement, it's recorded at their home or a place they choose, not some scary police station. The police officer can't even be in uniform. The child is never brought face to face with the accused. Their identity is protected from the media. The trial is held in private. Even little things like allowing for frequent breaks are built in. These aren't just nice ideas, they're the law, all designed to create a safe, supportive space for the child.
All right, we're in the home stretch. Let's talk about how justice is actually served and, just as important, what our own responsibility is in all of this. You know the old saying, justice delayed is justice denied? Well, that's especially true when a child is involved. To fight against that, Section 28 of the Act requires that every district has its own dedicated special courts. This is a huge deal. It means these cases don't get buried in the general court system's massive backlog. Instead, they're handled with the special attention and speed they absolutely need. And it's not just a vague goal to be speedy. The push for a quick trial is written right into the law. Section 35 sets a very specific target, 1 year. From the moment the court takes on the case, the aim is to have the trial finished within a year. This is all about giving closure to the victim and their family, and stopping these cases from just dragging on forever. Of course, a law is only as good as the number of people who actually know it exists, right? A secret law doesn't help anyone. That's why Section 43 is so important. It actually mandates that the government has to spread awareness about the POCSO Act. They have to use the media, train people, and make sure that all of us, citizens, parents, even kids themselves, know what their rights and protections are. And that really brings us to the final and maybe most important question. We've walked through the whole structure of the law, but at the end of the day, a law is just words on paper. It's only as strong as the society that actually uses it and believes in it. So knowing that the PSCO Act is out there, that's step one. The real challenge for all of us is to be aware, to be vigilant, and to truly understand that protecting children, well, that's not just someone else's job. It's a fundamental responsibility that every single one of us shares.